Sooners of Oklahoma at 12-0 and still looking for respect nationwide.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just bought a new computer and I just broke it. Can you see me now, Aaron? I definitely broke the computer. I literally broke that one and you guys can see me now. It was a computer? Don't tell me it was a computer. Seriously, you guys can see me? Yes or no? Can you guys see me? If you guys say yes, I'm gonna be so upset. Oh man, the whole thing crashed. Wow, that's wild. Brand new computer. I think I paid like $1,600 for that freaking computer. Anyway, guys, let's. I'm gonna delete that. All right, so don't mind the other. God, it's so embarrassing. I always make fun of Barry. His stuff generally messes up, and my freaking computer crashes. Go freaking figure. I'm on my old laptop now, Old Faithful, baby. Yeah, we here. We know this one works. It doesn't have the good camera and the bells and the whistles and all the other good stuff. Um, but anyway, we back on. I'm not going to revisit what I said about the other stuff. I think it's important to speak to a couple things because some people aren't going to see this version. I think it's important for us to understand what's in front of us. As fans, I can't think of a time in the last, I would say Sam Bradford. And somebody tell me if I'm wilding, but I feel like Sam Bradford in the 2018 with DeMarco and some of the guys they had on defense is the last time we had a team that on both sides of the ball could, if they maxed out and reached their potential, play championship caliber football. That's no slight to Baker and Kyler and Hurts and that community where Lincoln Riley had the offense cooking at a level where we score 40 and 50 on teams like Georgia when they had stacked D's. But guys, we couldn't stop the dive. I'm talking about we couldn't stop the dive with second level defenders. By the way, one of them is starting for the Dallas Cowboys. He's an NFL backer and we couldn't stop dive. We're not even talking about RPO dive, right? There was no threat for the quarterback to pull it, to throw it, and run it. They just ran dive. Something about those defenses just was, man, almost allergic to success, physicality, anything, right? 2025, beating Tennessee, Knoxville, beating Alabama, Tuscaloosa. This is the first time in 15 years that we have a team that legitimately, if we play our best, can win a championship. Yeah, Sony Michelle. By the way, he ended up just being a jag in the NFL, right? He was a damn good college ball player. I don't want to take anything away from his college prowess, but he got to the NFL and wasn't much. I think he had a couple injuries. He was on some of those New England teams when they were kind of transitioning after Brady. I want to say Cam Newton may have been his cue, and Mac Mac Jones, I believe, was a cue of his. But anyway, guys, jumping back into it, we're going to talk 10 thoughts. We're going to talk OU football. We're going to talk about the playoffs. We're going to talk about our position groups. We're going to talk about our head coach, right? There was a community of people who were saying BV wasn't the man for the job. And I think that community has politely and quietly kind of backed into a corner, right? But I think there are still questions that remain regarding the some of the assistant coaches. I think there are questions that remain. I was talking to somebody attached to the program, or somebody who is attached to other people in the program, I guess I should say. So second degree information. And it was a dynamic that was brought up that I had never really considered. You kind of think about it, but what are the conversations like when you're the 29-year-old OC and you're in game planning or film sessions, or right, you guys are developing the plan for the week, and DeMarco Murray is the position coach, older than you, tenured, NFL great, Sooner great, right? Like, I wonder, and not your guy. I wonder what the conversation's like. I wonder what the conversation's like. That's what it was. I was reading that article. And in fact, I think it's on OU Insider, and I'm sure it was published other places potentially. But there was an article talking about the impact Kevin Wilson has had on Ben Arbuckle. And I'm wondering to myself, like, how does it feel to be 29 and the offensive analyst is a 64-year-old H head ball coach, ex, and an ex OU great offensive coordinator. And in that moment, I did have a little sympathy for him. It did make me kind of say, I wonder what it feels like to be in those rooms, in those meetings, and all these. You gotta assume big egos are questioning you. You just came from Wazoo, bro. Like, salute, you're doing cool, but you're a young lad, dog. Like, you were in college 5, 6 years ago. Like, I've been around the block. I've played in the league. I was the OC at Ohio State after being the head coach at Indiana, after being the OC here when we had Sam Bradford. Like, there's some dynamics to that. And I am just, I don't feel sorry for him. I don't feel sorry for him, but it is an extra ingredient that I personally hadn't pay close attention to it. And after, having that conversation, it was like, no, 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 there's merit to that. There's gonna be something to, yeah, somebody in the chat says he probably doesn't have full say. And if you read the article, it's weird. The article's kind of like Arbuckle says, "Hey, do you have any input?" He says sometimes Kevin's like, "No," and he says sometimes he's like, not yet." And then sometimes he said, like, to me, that just feels like, does he need permission to do certain things, or is there some, you know what I mean? Like, is there some kind of box he needs to check before, like, hopefully he has full reins of the design, the strategy, the calls, the adjustments, personnel. I would hope as the OC, he has that. But I mean, you know, that's like somebody telling you to cook your grandma's favorite gumbo, but giving you ingredients from somebody else, right? Like that gumbo is probably not going to be identical to grandma's gumbo if you don't have the ingredients that grandma wanted. So I do want to park that a little bit because I have been probably I don't listen to a lot of other people's pods. Believe it or not, I have a busy life. I'm a father. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a business owner. Da, 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 da. I watch the games attentively. Barry and I talk attentively. Parker and Brandon, right? They'll text and we'll have conversations, and just in the sense of, hey Mac, what are you saying? Da, da, da. But like, I don't really. If I get a chance, I'll listen to Gabe and Teddy just because I respect the hell out of them. You know what I'm saying? They know what they're talking about, and I think they provide a lot of value. But like, I don't even know who the other pods are. I know somebody asked me to do one earlier this year. I forgot which crew it was. By the way, solid guys. Not definitely not hating, but I just don't have time to listen to it. So like, I don't know what, like, whatever the community is discussing. But when I think about that, I say to myself, like, that's probably a dynamic that Ben Arbuckle is dealing with this year that they're going to readdress in the offseason. Um, I will say recruiting is going well. I think today we picked up another big time corner. 2027 recruit, 5'11", 170-ish, right? He'll probably be a 6 foot, 185-pound freshman when he gets here. His offer list is legit. Michael, I believe his name is. Offer list is legit, right? Like, you're talking about a guy who went Ohio State, Florida State, Alabama, Georgia. I mean, and there's a long list. That means coaches are doing a good thing. And also speaks to the momentum, right? We've created some momentum, and salute to the team for being successful. But anyway, let's get to 10 thoughts. We're going to go through the position groups. We're going to go through some schematics. Barry has posted, if you guys haven't looked, the play I continue to talk about where we're running um, a levels concept out, on a third down where Satania's wide open and we just have a ball with no immediate pressure that our QB just can't hit the strike. It's problematic, man. We need those, right? We're up two, and the defense is substantially better in the second half, right? We've made some adjustments, and we're at the cusp of field goal range. We cannot call a play that's going to invite the defensive line to potentially get a sack. We can't. We can't. All right. So anyway, I'm gonna dive through these. Yeah, I see people asking questions already. I'll talk about those. The receiver group will be a topic of conversation. Um, Now I have a tight schedule. In fact, I'll say this, and yeah, you guys have heard me say this, but my auntie passed away a week and a half ago. The funeral's tomorrow, and so yeah. gonna be taking my mom's older sister, man, my mom's best friend. So this is one of those ones that concerns me. Love my aunt. She's been in my life my entire life. She looks like my mother, in fact, which is kind of eerie. But I am going to stick to my word, and we're going to do 45 minutes. And somebody's going to make fun of me, but I'm looking at the damn clock. We're doing 45 minutes, especially with the snafu. For those of you who didn't know, the whole thing crashed like 10 minutes in on my new computer. So I went back to my old computer. Yeah, I appreciate you guys for your concern, your condolences, all that good stuff. Let's start at the queue. Um, you know, John makes great plays. That QB draw he runs where he kind of high steps through the hole and gets through the traffic and then literally does a spin at about the 10 and again high steps into the end zone. That's legit. Like that's big time. Like when your QB can make those kind of plays against an Alabama running through 3 or 4 would-be tacklers, you got something. However, you can't play quarterback at the University of Oklahoma if you can not consistently hit the strike when it's there. We killed Trevor Knight because he couldn't consistently do it. We killed Paul Thompson when he was pushed into that position as a second stringer who was trying to play receiver, and we had to move him back because we had injuries, right? Like through the years, we have had an extremely high standard for what our expectations were at Q. Um, even guys like Jalen. Right, think about it. Like Jalen missed some throws, but Jalen can make up with those throws by going and getting you 7 on 3rd and 8. Excuse me, 9 on 3rd and 8. Right. Mateer has got to find a way to possess the ball. And at this point, 2 games from the playoffs, right? People have been asking me a lot about, oh, what are we going to do in terms of um, adjustments and what audibles should we do? Like I think I said in a post game with Barry, there's pie in the sky things we can do, but guys, we're in week 12. You know what I'm saying? Like we're not going to make wholesale changes. That would not be an intelligent thing to do. Um, when I get to offensive scheme, I will say there are some adjustments we could make pretty easily, pretty quickly, just either tags and or build-ons on what we're already doing to give ourselves the opportunity to add some diversity, some depth to our playbook because it's eh, right. When I look at the playbook, I just like, what do we do? Who are we? I don't even know who we are still, 12 weeks into this season. I gave Mateer 71. Your quarterback is your most pivotal player. He definitely galvanizes the troops. He holds himself accountable, and he's also mediocre. I look across the conference. I can name 10 quarterbacks within the conference that I would prefer to have versus him right now. It sounds terrible for me to say, and I feel like I'm being a jerk in saying that. By the way, I'm not exaggerating either. Tennessee's quarterback, Georgia's quarterback, Alabama's quarterback. Give me Arkansas's quarterback, Texas A&M's quarterback. Y'all ready to hear this? It's gonna hurt my heart to say, but Arch Manning is twice the quarterback material today. If you watch that game, Arch's gonna throw it to the other team a couple times, but Arch is kind of his cerebral ability, his ability to throw the ball downfield. He's a little bit aggressive with his legs. Like, sorry, I'm taking Arch, and I'm definitely taking Chambliss. That's 7. I'm definitely taking Sellers. That's 8. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, think about it. Like, it's not like I'm definitely taking the kid of Vandy. Are you kidding me? Definitely taking him. That right there puts Mateer at 10 in the conference. All right. And so, and by the way, maybe it's shade, but can we be honest? I think a lot of people appreciate the fact that over here on the Barry Mac and the 10 thoughts, like we keep it a buck. And if I say something that's ignorant, right, people will generally be like, Mac, that's ignorant. I know I'm saying ignorant. Don't stop, guys. I used to be an educator 12 years, please. Um, I don't think that's exaggeration. Anyway, I'm not going to get into the economics because we're going to do that later. But I will say we should, as a fan base, expect more. Oh, you know what? The kid in Florida, that's a good one. Man, he kind of hurts my feelings sometimes. He kind of hurts my feelings. See, I don't like pre-injury. Pre-injury Mackey never plays at OU. Roy never plays at OU because I'm going to Stanford and he's going to UW. You know what I'm saying? Like the what if community. If I don't tear my ACL against De La Salle my senior year in high school, Roy is not a Sooner and Mackey is not a Sooner. We are both playing in the West Coast for sure. He hurt his thumb. By the way, it wasn't even season ending. It wasn't even a month. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't buy the whole. I don't think his thumb is the reason he can't throw a fade. I don't. I don't think his thumb is the reason he can hit Satania on 3rd and 18 on a beautiful throw where he has to step into the pocket, and then the next possession he can't hit Satania on a 5-yard speed out. It's not even a speed out. It's like it's a sail route, kind of like. It's a rub sail route. He's just got to meet him at the marker. The ball should just be upfield shoulder to catch. The ball is 2 yards behind Satania, and it's a miss. Barry posted it on Twitter. I don't think that's a thumb, guys. I think it's mental. If you ask me what I think, since somebody brought it up, and um, this is what I think. I don't know, but my eyeballs tell me he was a man amongst boys in the Pac-2 or whatever the hell they were in last year, and played in a lot of games and had a lot of comfort and was in a comfortable environment in a league where defenses were not like ours. He could probably outrun 75% of the defensive ends that were trying to pursue him, and then he got to the SEC. That's my He is trying to learn how to play on this stage against this caliber of opponent, right? Against this much speed and physicality, and in a place where in Wazoo, he tries hard, they lose a game, the fans are like, oh man, you gave it your best effort. Oklahoma, you make 5 great plays, you missed the one that was going to win the game. We don't forget the one that was going to win the game. That, in my opinion, that is the adjustment he is the curve he is trying to obtain and or just have accustomed, right? Become accustomed with. And I'm here to tell you, um, it ain't easy. Now, here we go. Sidebar. You guys know 10 thoughts I can sidebar sometimes. I'm writing this book. Okay, so long story short, I have ranted on Rivals since the old Rivals. Shout out to Josh McQuistion and the rest of the crew over there. I will always have love for those guys, but I've been doing it since Austin Box, so like 2009. Okay, I started 10 Thoughts over there like 2015, maybe like years ago, maybe a decade ago, or like close to legit. But anyway, I wish I could go back and get all my old content because I wrote some phenomenal stories just ranting, right? Somebody saw it, Oklahoma publisher, like, yo, bro, I want to publish a book. What? And I'm like, but conversation pursued the terms in which I want, which is I want something affordable, I want something that's easy, and I don't want somebody else lensing my story. I want to say it as I say it. Now, I did learn that I can't use my short form, and I like to write in an academic space when I'm in a professional space, and then if I'm not in an academic space, I'm pretty informal. Whereas, like, I may not have every apostrophe, capital letter, da 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 da. My syntax is gonna be correct. I ain't crazy. I got a degree, you know, and I got a master's too, by the way, in education. But anyway, that informal space, I was kind of like, the language has to sound like it's Mackie. It can't sound like some dude came or Chat GTP came. If I don't want to write it, if someone else is going to be interpolating for me. And so all that stuff happens. But what it forced me to do was watch film I haven't watched in 20 years. And I'm watching the game. Like, there were some games where we was kind of scared. There were some games where the athleticism, the physicality, the speed was alarming. Right. So like I had to revert and remember, like, oh yeah, I remember being a freshman. Oh, Texas was different. My freshman year, by the way, we lost, right? We got up early, 21-7, and we found a way to lose the damn game. So, like, you know what I'm saying? I say that to say I can sympathize with a Mateer coming here, being the big man. By the way, when OU fans love you, they love you. Guys, I'll never in my life forget what it felt like coming back to Norman after K-State. Coming back to Norman, or excuse me, leaving the Barry Switzer Center after Nebraska. Going to hall that following Monday. I had class at Dale Hall, 9 o'clock, and the guy has the oranges in the basket, and then we coming back from A&M. T. Marshall miracle play. Like, I'll never forget how much OU fans love their football. Oh, guys, we were there. We did it. We're the freaking old men. We're the last ones to win it, right? Um, but I also know, I also know, lose a game you're not supposed to. Right? Our fans is not gonna just give you a pass. Whether we love you, hate you, whatever. Like, we really subscribe to winning. And that's why I love that university. And I say this from the bottom of my heart. It translated to other areas of my life. Winning a natty at OU, being coached by Bob Stoops, being trained by Jerry Schmidt, and having young, assertive, ego, but also humble coaches taught me a ton about life, manhood, fatherhood, business. Like, those all translated. And so I am grateful. And of course, the fans. I was After we won the Natty, the rules changed, and we were allowed to get a job after when we weren't in season. So when I got to OU, you were not allowed to have a job when you were in season. When you're my sophomore junior year, the NCAA changed the rules. When you weren't in season, you could get a job. So I got a job at Bob's Barbecue, first job in Oklahoma. By the way, Bob's Barbecue isn't even there. They changed it to Legends. Shout out to Doug and Doug Kennan. He was a trainer, 85 team. He's at all the alumni stuff. Shout out to Doug. Anyway, I got this job like my first or second day. I serve a two top, and they get like the brisket sandwich or the whatever pulled pork sandwich, $100 tip. I'm like, word? $11 tab, $100 tip, four top. They ordered the lunch special, whatever, $250 tip. So, needless to say, this is before compliance was crazy. There were a couple of conversations like, yeah, Mackie, you can't be getting these. Um, I said, what? They like my service. They think I'm an awesome server. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, y'all can't hate on that. Relax. True story. But Roy and I hope I don't get anybody in trouble for this. Roy and I were the first two to sell cars. Uh, Roy and I were the first two car salesmen. I'm just letting y'all know. And yeah, I don't know how they messed that deal up. That deal was, I got to tell you, man. Yeah, maybe I'll put that one in the book. I don't know if I want to put that in the book either. Right? That might be even worse. But let's just say, um, I had an OU fan. He was an older guy. He wanted a what extended cab. He wanted an extended cab. He said, sir, he was talking because I didn't know how to close deals. I was just taking the ups, saying hi, hey, Mackie, wear your ring, take the up, we'll close them down. Cool. I just wanted to split. Yeah, Red Bomar killed that deal. Those guys killed it because it was a honey hole. And I'm talking about pre-NIL. God, I hope statute of limitations don't, hope somebody don't, let's just say they took good care of us. Now, by the way, I was not at Big Red. I ain't gonna say where I was at anyway, but um, you could make 10 grand, 12 grand in a week. That's not true. In a month. Yeah, yeah, you could definitely make 12 grand in a month. Show up on Saturdays. That's all you had to do. Show up on Saturdays. Yeah, it was good times. It was good times. Rims, TV, stereo systems. Man, one of these days I'll tell you the stories. Sooner Mall. I think I'm gonna get people in trouble if I say these things, so I'm not. Let's get back to the game. I said I was going to do 35 or 45 minutes. Mateer's a guy who's got to improve. Back to your regularly scheduled program. Mateer's a guy who's got to improve. And here's the beauty. Here's the beauty. Truth be told, he can. Somebody brought it up. Michigan. We have Michigan Mateer. We can beat anybody in America, especially with the way our defense is playing now, especially the way some of the growth I'm seeing in the secondary. We can beat anybody. Who's the juggernaut team? Who's the juggernaut? Is Ohio State a juggernaut or is their schedule trash? Somebody tell me. I don't think Ohio State is undefeated if they play in the SEC. Am I saying too much? No, I'm not. I'm not saying too much. I'm saying enough to probably get some red flags, but I ain't telling nobody. I'm not a tattletale. But I just tell you, they took care of us in Norman, man. You guys took good care of us in Georgia is not a juggernaut. Now, I think they're the most complete team in America, and I think they're probably the most well coached team in America. Kirby Smart is Saban 2.0, but they do not have the depth. And they are not head and shoulders just better, deeper than everybody else. They should have lost to Tennessee. I watched that entire game earlier. I think it's early October, late September, one of the two. I think it's early October. Tennessee had the game won. Anyway, we'll see. Needless to say, let's move on. I want to go to O-line next. And the reason I want to talk O-line is because I think we learned a lot about them on Saturday. Yes, we could not run the ball effectively. When we did run the ball extremely well against Tennessee, extremely well against, well, the second half against Ole Miss, right? And we ran the ball well against South Carolina. However, what we saw that I had not seen in a long time was a lot of progression, pass protections. In other words, the offensive line is asked to kick step and hold, guys longer. And so, it's interesting. We don't run well behind EPO. We run well when EPO pulls. Yeah, I want to make sure we actually didn't do very well running right behind him. In fact, I'd be curious to know how he grades out as a direct inline blocker versus a pulling. I mean, I would say he's probably one of the best in the conference when he's pulling. He kicks. By the way, he was killing people on Saturday too. When Mateer scores, he kills the guy. Did you guys see Kennick? Oh God, right? Kennick did enough to get the guy. He didn't really do anything. The guy just had to miss Kennick, and because he had to miss Kennick, Mateer was able to get through the hole. But EPL kills his guy, right? But I just am really excited about the young crew, man. I love Foje. I think Foje is the best O lineman. And I'm not an O-line guru, so I could be wrong. But here's what I know. Before he was right tackle, that right side, there was a lot of leakage and sometimes a short corner. And a lot of times a quarterback having to move out the spot fast and leak left. Since he's played that position, I haven't seen it. Shout out to Fasusi the last couple of games. He has cleaned up. He had a rough outing. I want to say Ole Miss. Yep. Ole Miss. Tennessee, Alabama, substantially better. Obviously, Eddie P's playing well. I said it on the post game, but it's really good to see when Barry and I used to have to argue with people that 54 was a solid player. Well, now he's kind of a jag on the offensive line. That's good because he's a solid guy. He's a solid player. He doesn't suck. People said he sucked for 2 years. He doesn't suck. Or I don't know if he came last year or 2 years ago, but he doesn't suck. He's solid. We just have better players now. We've elevated the talent around him. He's a guy that we're going to upgrade that position going into next season. I gave them an 80. And the reason I give them an 80 is because they gave us a chance. It's not their fault the quarterback can't make the play. It's not their fault the plays that were being called. They definitely don't deserve higher than that because we couldn't run the ball, especially when we needed to. But relative to that group last year or September this year to now, we have a competent SEC group. I'm going to talk about that. A lot of people have asked me. They've been DMing me about Hawkins and what do we think? I'll hit that at the end, guys. I promise. And I'll tell my truth. Long story short, I mean, Hawkins has now cleared the 4 games that is necessary for him to obtain and keep his red shirt. Mateer, if I were Coach BV and maybe they would fire me, I would tell Mateer in practice. I would say when we would have Sunday film. Here you go. I'll digress, but this question I think is important. When we would play, we would then have a 4-hour film session Monday, self-study, course correct, and then actually an hour of the new opponent too. So we do 3 hours of a self-study and course correct, and then we do an hour of, okay, this is the new opponent, right? And we do specials, installs, and all that good stuff. At that study, a lot of the time, I'd say 50% of it, guys, was the coach is asking us, what do you see? And I think that was a brilliant um, check for understanding. It's actually an educational um, kind of pedagogy, because when the coach tells you, hey, this is how you do it, this is how you do it, this is how you do it, that doesn't necessarily confirm that you understand wholeheartedly what to do, right? The coach is telling you, but that doesn't mean you understand how to execute, right? And so when we would do those Monday film studies, um, Coach Spurrier, or if it was, let's say, offense, obviously my position coach was Coach Spurrier, but let's just say specials, right? I'm on punt team. Hey, Mackie, what do you see? Right? Oh, coach, they're in the 53. They got 5 on the strong side, so we're gonna man block that side, and then on this side we're zone blocking. Right? It's my job to make sure if the guy crosses, I'm looking for a guy. I'm talking about our punt protection, right? Whatever. I'm just giving you guys um, just an example, but that gives coach an opportunity to see if you know what the hell you're doing. And then, of course, if you screw it up on film, then he says, "Well, why did you screw it up on film, coach? Whatever." Or, but if you don't know, then they literally will put another guy in. So again, let me say that again. Coach asked me, I can articulate why and how. If film matches that, I'm good. Give me a plus. If film doesn't match that, he's like, Mackie, what the hell? Why didn't you? And then I have to justify why I didn't. And then let's say there's 1 week and then 2 weeks I can't, boom, somebody else comes in. Okay. That's scenario 1. Scenario 2 is he asked me and I don't know why. Right? Hey, Mackie, they're in 53. What do you do? Oh, coach, I don't know if it's zone on this side or man on that side. I don't remember. Boom, Mike T, come play wing. So in that same scenario, you got to ask that question of your quarterback. Hey, Mateer, what do you see? Oh, pre-snap, they showed us a two shell. It looked like it was a two shell, but it's really quarters. The corners bailing at the snap of the ball, and the backers buzzing the flats. Okay, and if Mateer says, Coach, that's why I threw it a little farther back shoulder to Satania because I thought Satania would fade a little more to give him more width against the backer. Like if that's the conversation, that's actually something I can live with. If that makes sense to everybody, versus the conversation be, oh, coach, I didn't see it. That's problematic. You know what I do in that scenario, guys? I say, hey, Hawkins, what do you see? What do you see? Does that make sense, everybody? Like, football is a smart man's game. When you're playing at that, like, when you're playing at this level, you can't just win off sheer talent unless you're like, you know, Adrian Peterson, which he was also smart. Does that make sense to everybody? So, like, for the Mateer thing, I am curious because I've seen him make the same mistakes weeks in a row, right? I've seen him be inaccurate weeks in a row. So, quarterback is the one position where you've got to give them more rope, especially when he's a Heisman candidate and he's a $3 million quarterback and he's shown against rough competition that he can play well, but he's also shown against rough competition that he can shrink. Texas was terrible, good and terrible. And I just want to know those conversations, the people who ask me about Hawkins, because if you just kind of like, yes, we're going to throw in Hawkins, I don't know what those conversations are on Mondays. What if Hawkins doesn't know the answer either? Right? What if on Thursday practice when they're doing routes on air and one's, the one quarterback goes with the ones and then the two quarterback goes with the ones generally at OU. Again, I don't know if he changed this, but on Thursdays, both quarterbacks, Josh Heupel, Nate Hibble, Jason White, whoever was starting or whoever was the two, on Thursday, they both got reps with the ones when we do routes on airs, right? We start on the 10-yard line and we do run our stuff 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 45, 40, 35, 30, and then we'll turn around and do it again. Ball can't touch the ground. Thursday practice, ball can't touch the ground. So we're just running our stuff, rapid fire, rapid fire, rapid fire, rapid fire, rapid fire, right? And you'd have both quarterbacks, so you could get a sense for both. I assume they have something like that integrated into practice, and the players can see if Hawk is throwing good balls, if Hawk is, on time with what he needs to be doing, if Hawk is leading the team and saying the stuff correctly and messing up on his cadence or any of that good stuff, right? So those are things that we as fans don't see, that I would need to see in order to make a black and white judgment. Now, that all said, Mateer's not playing good enough to just be the entrenched starter in 2026. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. Somebody asked me how I navigated. The things that I'm asking now are things that I would want to see as the OC. You can't. It's very hard, guys, to justify just benching him. Think about what happened when we benched Jackson last year. I mean, we essentially lost our quarterback. And again, without me knowing all the variables, to just like, oh yeah, I want to see what Hawk can do. Like, you don't just get to arbitrarily see what the backup can do in an 8-figure program, right? Where this is student athletes, but this is big business now. We're talking about a multiple billion-dollar industry, right? So that piece, I'm not as keen. Now, okay, we're here. We'll stay here. I'd have Hawkins packages. There should be a Hawk package this week, right? Um, the thing that always scares me is ball control, is ball security. You don't want to mess up the ingredients of the scheme, and somebody else comes in who's rarely in, and then they don't have ball security. So if Hawk has a package, ball security has to be very, very, very clean. But let's be honest, it's not like he's gonna mess up some rhythm. What rhythm? We have no identity. You know what I mean? So maybe him coming in and bringing an extra piece of flavor would help. I don't think there's any good reason why he shouldn't have a package. And I don't think Mateer is playing good enough, and the stakes are high enough for us to not care. Like, I'm not here to protect a $3 million player's feelings when we're on a playoff run. Sorry, bro. We got to do everything we can to make sure our team can win. By the way, shout out to John Estes. Appreciate the 9.99, dog. That's love. Okay. So am I gonna do position groups? Because I got like 10 minutes left, or are we just gonna have a conversation? Because I said 45 and we at 37. So we gotta do what we gotta do. The O line, I gave them an 80. The wide receivers, I gave them a 75. I don't think they get a fair opportunity to show what they can do. Last year we saw a deficit in talent. This year, I don't know that I can say that. I like I like Jermichael. I like Keontez. I obviously we like Satania, right? Burks has always been a little overrated to me. He's a good player, but I think he's another one of those guys who came from Purdue, where at that school you could kind of be quick, shifty, right? And by the way, he came from a really good offense too, right? He was put in space and in position to have a lot of success. I think OU against stiffer competition and offense that's a little less explosive. It's a lot less explosive. Let's be honest, right? He has underwhelmed a little bit, so especially relative to Satania. Um, 75. Tight ends, I gave them a 75. The pin and pull that they call the blindside block is a joke. That's a joke. Tight end is in a tight slot. It's trips, but he's in tight slot, which would and should be considered the box. There's no way you can call a blindside on a tight end who's in the box blocking a D end who's in the box. All that kind of stuff just irks my soul. You know what I'm saying? Like the um the mantra of what football is. Right. He hits him high. The only thing is the DN is dumb and doesn't look. That's your fault, bro. You got contained, my guy. If your job is contained, you need to have your head on a swivel. It's not like CeeDee Lamb's against Alabama, 6 years ago, where he cleans the clock of a backer pursuing. The tight end is in a slot. He's off the line of scrimmage, I believe. He's off the line of scrimmage. And the DN is just got caught slipping. That's part of football. We can't call that penalty. That's a drive killer. And we've got a good play there. Yeah. And then, looking at those guys, like I don't think they're in a really good position to be successful. I said it in my 10 thoughts on OU Insider. How cool would it be to see Kanik be in a position where we run action and he's running a jerk route opposite of all the action, a different direction, and we queued him up? We try to run a double flea flicker reverse. You know what I'm saying? By the way, we ran that play against, was it Michigan at home? It was. I think it's Michigan at home and we overthrow it. Right? We've run that play already. It's already been on film. Right? Like we gotta add some depth to what we want to do. But tight ends, I gave it 75. The offensive game plan got a 60. We threw one pass over 30 yards, pass interference, 25 yards, pass interference. That should tell you we should attempt more of those. By the way, it was close to being caught. Go back and watch the film between us and Tennessee and us and Alabama. Tennessee did it around the second quarter. If you go watch Tennessee's game, the first quarter, they're at 12 to 14 yards, their safeties. By the second quarter, they're at 10 yards. By the third quarter, they're at 8 to 9 yards. Alabama did it Q1. Q1. And people wonder why we can't run the football. Guys, do you understand how difficult it is to run the football when the safeties are at 9? They're basically backers. One safety's got to go tight end the ball because if they're running action, he's got to cover the tight end or carry the tight end, right? The other safety is a free safety. If they're playing quarters where they're saying, hey, corners, don't let nobody get behind you, the safeties are in the box right now. They're already at 9. They're driving. C gap, inside out, banana. Banana means if the safety's over the guard, if something stays in the B, he stays inside man. If the ball bounces to the C, he stays inside man. The ball bounces to the alley, he stays inside in. It's called a banana, inside out. Safeties tackle inside out. They're at 9 yards. They're killing stuff. They're chasing the backers trying to get to the tackles. It's very difficult to scheme up a run game. How do I fix that? Mackey's the OC. You ready? First play of the game. I'm lining up in 11 personnel. I'm putting my tight end in a nub. I'm showing the ball. I'm doing some type of very simple inside zone RPO out. And yep, I don't want outside. I'll do outside. I don't care. Right? A small show the ball. The very first play, I'm throwing the fade. In fact, let me tell you how I'm throwing the fade. I'm in 11 personnel, the 2 receiver side. The outside receiver is running a 5-yard stop. The inside receiver is running the fade. We're running the fade on the safety so that my quarterback has a ton of room to throw the ball outside. If both of them sink, throw the stop. It's a very simple read. It's a high school play. Anyone who coaches football knows the play. Slot fade and 20 and 22, which means 2x2 receiver sets, is the easiest read. I know we have it in the playbook. Everybody runs it on us. I'm running that the first play because the safety now says, "Oh crap, I better get at depth." I'd have a check in the plan. It would even just be a signal. It wouldn't be a check. I would have a signal. Anytime we see safeties jump up to 9, all right. Josh had a signal when we wanted to run a slant, smoke. He would bellow his hands like this, or he would not like a cigarette. I guess I should do it like that. Huh? My bad. Right, cigarette. Right, he smoke and then fire. Fire meant fade. Fire, 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 fire. Whatever, right? Engine, fire engine, fireman. Whatever, any type of you heard him that type of language, we know fade route. Any type of smoke, right? We know we're running a slant route. That needs to be in there. And whenever they bring their safeties to 9, there needs to be a signal that he has with the receivers, whatever the play is. We need to throw the damn fade. We need to back those safeties up so we can run the ball. It's not as if one play is going to screw up our rhythm. We have no rhythm. That, to me, that's peewee, guys. There are good peewee coaches who understand when teams are playing too aggressive, you get them out of it. When teams are backing up too far, you run the football until you bring them up to the line. Like, that's not overcomplicated. We got 89 people listening. 80% of those people, that makes sense to. He knows it. I don't know why they won't do it. Defensive side of the ball, I'm going to go quick just because I want to stay on task with time. The defensive line, no RMT, still showed up. Shout out to Wine for Wine's an emerging star. And we heard that in fall camp. We always hear stuff about people in fall camp. He is someone, he and Guillory are two that have definitely played the part of what folks have saying. And, a lot of times people make fun of the insiders. I remember when I was at the older rivals, Josh and those guys, people were like, you guys said such and such was good. And they're not. Obviously, Parker and Brandon get a ton. People always say that. You can't say nothing about Wine and Guillory. Both of those dudes are balling. They're the goods. NFL caliber guys. It's good to see Wine come and be a guy who, when RMT leaves, we're probably gonna have to pay him money to stick around. I imagine. Someone told me he's an all-team guy and he probably won't want a ton of money or something like that. But whatever, it's economics. So if he deserves it, I would say either way. Hell of a game. Not even just the sack. He was consistently bringing pressure. PJ has some good pressures early on in the game. MJJ has some good pressures early on in the game. This Saturday, we're going to need Jaden to play more. You can very clearly see the difference in teams' ability to be successful running the ball when he is a staple in that front versus he's essentially not playing. And I'm talking about JJ. All right. Linebackers. I've had a lot of people try to tell me, oh, this guy, that guy, Heineke, McKenzie, this and that. Kip is the man. Kip is the alpha. Yeah. Jaden didn't play much. I think he played a couple snaps. Kip's the alpha, guys. Those tight end touchdowns and big time plays, Kip's never in the game when those happen. It's why I was on Twitter so pissed around the 22 starters. It's to the point now that I think teams scheme, hey, when 10's in the game or when 10's not in the game is when we want to do these things. Both of the tight end touchdown where they run the jerk routes, both of them are jerk routes, right? One of them, the quarterback acts like he trips up, right? And they're acting like they're doing some stuff across the sideline, blah, 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 blah. They run a jerk route. Tight end runs right across Samuel's face. Samuel sees him perfectly, lets him go. Doesn't carry him. He tries to pass him to nobody is who he passes him. We're in cover 4. Our corner is getting the hell out of there. He's taking the deep post, which is good play design, right? You get in the corner across the field, and that tight end is running a jerk route, but he didn't even run it behind him. He ran it in front of him. You gotta carry that, brother. There's no threat to a run now. You've got to carry that. But yeah, they beat Samuel the first time, and then I think the second one's on McKenzie. Just because he crosses McKenzie's face, right across McKenzie's face. And so I just say, I don't know why we have 22 starters where they do wholesale substitutions. I am 100, some guy was trying to argue me on Twitter, like, Mackie, they're going to get tired. Like, bro, I'm not saying people shouldn't sub, right? Guys sub when I play. Guys have subbed forever, but starters play 80% and starters should play until they're tired. And if a starter is in and gets tired and a team calls a timeout, the starter should go back in. The fourth down, before the fourth down, that Peyton Bowen stops. We subbed out the ones because they were tired. I get it. The twos get a stop on third down. Super awesome. They call a timeout. And we keep the twos in on fourth down. And then they run the end around with the old lineman's in the backfield. And they run the end around with the guy. Devon Jordan is in at corner that play. The very next play, Eli Bowen's back in the game. The question you ask yourself is Eli is in on that fourth down, who I believe is one of the smartest defensive players on the team. Does he not do his job and force contain? I believe Eli says, oh, if they run something inside, that's not my job. I don't want to tackle that big ass lineman. That's what I would say if I was the boundary corner, or he was actually the field corner. I would say my job is, if anything comes outside, to not let it break contain. And what does Devin Jordan do? He's just kind of watching the play, and here they come. The end around behind him. They out leverage him. By the way, they only get the first by like 2 yards. But if the game is over on that play simply if we don't do wholesale substitutions. Both of those tight end touchdowns are wholesale 2 substitutions. One's a touchdown, one is down the sideline to the 11-yard line. And then on the other side of the ball, we can't get no receiver substitutions. You know what I'm saying? Like, why are we substituting so many people at backer, but we can't get no substitutions at receiver? Help me understand. We need EJ and BV to do some cross pollinations on substitutions, because if I'm Kearney, like, do you guys think Kearney wants to come back? Carry on? I don't know about the little guy. The little guy's probably going to be, they're probably going to ask the little guy to leave Raggins, right? But like we play 4 dudes. It's crazy to me. D line 85. They did some good things in the run game. When you're missing Jaden Jackson, that's going to be a lot more apt to happen. Stone had a couple of really good plays. Halton had a couple of really good plays, but it was really at the backer position where we flexed, and that was really Kip. Kip played far and away better than the other guys. It's also of note to say that McKenzie missed a run through, the missed touchdown, and the missed fumble in the first half, and then played substantially better in the second half. So I think he knocked the rest off and was able to get closer to his usual self, because there's no way in heaven that's a play McKenzie, the fumble at least, misses when he's healthy, right? That he's just now getting accustomed to being back in the game. By the way, he has a clean run through in the second quarter and he just misses the guy. That's not a play he's gonna miss when he's, back to himself. So yeah, good job by the backers. Kendall, Kendall, Kendall was Kendall. The other player I want to speak to is Powers. Bald. Yes, he had to play on the sideline with that big. You see how big their tight end was? But he played well. Physical, downhill. At the cheetah position, I think he's better than Kendall. And I've said this all year. So, I'm saying, fight me. But Kendall is going to be a backer in the NFL. I think everybody on this who's listening understands that. BV is increasing his stock because he's showing versatility, which is going to help him be more attractive to teams. I think it's genius. But next year, I think Powers is like the true cheetah who is like truly diversified enough to be able to do everything and still be physical enough to be an impact in the run game. Kid, that's another one of those young guys who's going to be a difference maker. I think this was the best job by the secondary overall all season, which I think everybody will agree. Obviously, Eli with the pick, RSJ with the beautiful pick if Kendall doesn't grab the receiver by the waist. Peyton has a bad angle on a go route, if you guys remember. Eli actually makes the tackle. But aside from that, he cleaned up in the C gap really well. Obviously, he has the PBU on the fourth down. As a unit, one of the better games these guys have played all year. And the other thing I think that's of note is teams have stopped picking on Guillory. If you remember early in the year, he got a ton of balls thrown his way from the Handkerchief University A&T school, from the blinds. They was like, oh, you got a freshman, we're gonna try him. Now the SEC is like, we saw the Cam Coleman film, but we've also seen Tennessee. We've also seen South Carolina. Like, we're actually gonna try these other guys out, right? And so I think that bodes well for him playing well. Hardy with a really good play on special teams. Defense. So backers, I gave the backers an 81. I gave them an 81 because they were making they gave up some big touchdown, big time, big plays. That's the backer depth. By the way, those in cuts in the first half, that's also backer. They were high-lowing the backers. A lot of people were saying, man, our DB suck. They were high-lowing the backers. When they catch that 18-yard drag, right, or that 18-yard dig, or even an 18-yard curl, they ran all three. Drag across the field, the dig is a sharper cut, and then the curl is a sitting hole. All three of them, they're reading the backer. The beauty is BV, because we have such a beast mode defensive coordinator, he changed the play, or he changed the scheme and said, hey, backers, I can't trust you guys to get the depth, right? It's going to be a safety play. And he started putting the cheetah in the center of the field at 12, and it killed the in cuts. That's why they had 240 yards passing at the first half, and then like 350 total in the game, 100 yards second half. We shut down the in cuts by making the in cut a safety expectation, not a backer's expectation. Now backers can focus on running, right? And then it's interesting. I was watching, I forgot who the QB is for Bama, who does a lot of the analysis, and he was talking about Wine. And it's interesting because more often than not, guys, our D line does not get to pin their ears back and chase ball. A lot of teams in the SEC, a lot of big time programs, they say, hey, we got better athletes at DN than you have at tackle. We're going to just go shrink the pocket. Go get them. We don't do that a lot. BV generally wants to be the brain trust that is scheming up the play, which is why he waits to see formations, and then we call the play in late, and then our guys execute, right? If you notice in the second half, we didn't do it as much. He literally let the DNs go chase the football. And it was a huge adjustment. It's why Wine now, instead of being in like an 8, or a tight 9, he's in a wide 9. He can turn 45 degrees and do a short edge corner on those tackles, and now the quarterback has to move off the spot, right? So the adjustment BV made is he went to a more aggressive um, front for the D line instead of them playing assignment football. McElroy, that's his name. Our defense is predicated on assignment football where he schemes up someone who's going to come free. By the way, it's been that way since I played. That was how he wanted to play the game. He wants it because it's easy to find out who made a mistake. And so the defense knows I better do my job. They don't go chasing glory, cause them glory chasers, right? And so more often than not, that's the way he loves to scheme a play because he believes in his ability to watch film and predict what teams are going to run, and he's going to call the play that's going to get somebody home. He didn't do that the second half. He said, we're going to rob the in cut. Safety settle at around 12, rob it right there. So if they come into it, anticipate. And we're going to let our D line, especially our DNs, inside out, outside in, right? So they weren't able to just run anywhere, but they were outside in. But he was saying, go get the quarterback. And that's when Wine was really able to turn it up and put some pressure on. Corners and safeties, I gave an 84. I said this is the first game they could have gotten closer to beating the D line. The D line's been the highest grading position on the entire team every game. I think maybe like 1 or 2 games, I gave the quarterback the highest score. First couple, I think Michigan, I think Material got the highest score on the team, but the D line was right behind him. But this was the first game where the secondary outscored the line, the backers, excuse me, and they were close. Pick six, PBU to end the game. You know, those guys were making plays down the field to take those 18-yard in cuts and not let them score. Those guys were picking up the tight ends when the backers were sleeping. Strong game by the DBs, guys. Bodes well. Bodes well. I gave BV a 92 on his defensive game plan just because of the adjustments he made. The adjustments he made in the second half made life difficult as hell for Bama. And then obviously our specials, 96. Our kicker just kicks 50-yarders like the 30. I was telling people, like, did you guys watch any other game Saturday? He definitely is a boss because there are definitely other teams with their kickers now wearing the Daisy Dukes. Oh, the Daisy Dukes are a thing. For sure. There are other teams where their kickers are like, oh, I'm gonna rock mine mid-thigh. I'm gonna rock mine like some 7 inchers. You know what I'm saying? Like it's June in Miami. You guys know about 7 inchers? Oh yeah. There's other kickers in America doing the 7 inch thing now, and that's him. Can't nobody else take credit for that. Kirk Herbstreit spoke on that loud and clear and made fun of it, and it was all over social media, all over the internet. That's our cue. That's our kicker. Sandell he's gonna be an All-American. I think he wins the Groza. He's got to do it 2 more games. But the kicks he's made in the away environments we've been in, best kicker in America, right? He missed his first kick and he hasn't missed since. Somebody knock on wood. All right. But and he just kicks them things right through the middle. They're never in doubt. It's like, oh, it's good. Anyway, I'm at 50 minutes. I know. I'm over 5 minutes. I'm trying to rush. Overall, here's what I'll say. I don't have the energy right now to complain about the mistakes we have because I understand how hard it is to be in the position we're in. I also understand the difference between wins and losses. Like, think about it. Bama fans right now are making excuses around, oh, the mistakes we made. Sorry, sir. Wine kicking your right tackle's ass is not you making a mistake. It's him whooping your guy's ass. Uh, BV scheming up an inside dog zone blitz where your quarterback, where we said the game plan is to get him off the spot and he'll throw us the ball a couple times. Like, that's not y'all making mistakes. That's the defense. Does that make sense? The defense is actually instigating. That's part of the game, right? Us having a kicker where we know in certain situations we can be a little conservative once we get closer to the 35, 33-yard line because our kicker can make kicks that give us points. That's not mistakes. shouldn't we also say like Bama scored on a quote unquote trick play? By the way, is that play not a false start? How are 4 offensive linemen going like this at the snap of the ball and that's not a penalty? Right? Like, isn't that us making a mistake? Or how about when he throws a pick and the safety's there and Kendall, hip checks the guy? Like, it ain't like Bama made the play, they got the penalty. So it's interesting to me. Oh, we doubled you guys in yardage. Doesn't it make sense that we don't have as many yards when we got a pick six and we got a couple of turnovers at you guys' own 20? Like, our scoring drives were 23, 33, 34, right? Like, yeah, we wouldn't need a ton of yards if we got the turnover, we forced it, right? And scored. We wouldn't need to go 80. That's the whole idea of getting turnovers. So that whole narrative is lame to me. Super lame. No, has nothing to do with Alabama's mistakes. Alabama didn't have unforced errors. Name one of them that was an unforced error. The pick six was not unforced. Kip forced it. The fumble was not unforced. Wine forced it. The special team was a punch out. Those are not unforced error. Your guys just oopty ooped. Right? You know what the unforced error was? Kendall Daniels grabbing his waist when the safety was right there. That's unforced. He didn't have to do that. You know what unforced was? Our OC calling a freaking slip screen when we're at the 34. I thought we knew better than to risk. We've called a play to invite the defense to try to sack our quarterback. That play is designed to invite the defense to try to sack your quarterback. That is crazy. Right? Like, no, those are unforced errors. Name one turnover that Bama had that was unforced. I can't think of one. I can't think of one. Name a touchdown that was called back because of holding. I can't think of one. Right? We forced those. That's part of the game. Special teams is a third of the game. We dominated them in two aspects of the game. And the one aspect where they were good on offense, we took the ball from them. That fourth down, the guy didn't drop it. Peyton Bowen knocked it down. But the narrative is, oh, this and that. Like, nah, bro, when you get turnovers, when the other team is turning the ball over on their 35-yard line, you don't need to get as many yards. So I say all that to say, guys, I'm not going to tell you guys what to do. But as far as I'm concerned, November football, when you have a chance to play for championships, I don't have the energy to just complain. Um, Someone asked earlier, and I was going to speak to it earlier, but I was going to speak to it now, but I spoke to it earlier. How would I handle Hawk? I'd have a Hawk package. I don't know if anybody knows, but Hawk can play the rest of the year and keep his shirt. He's played in 2 games. You get 4 games, not including playoffs and conference championships. So if I'm coach, it had to be something they've been working on for like 2 or 3 weeks, which I presume they may have because of the injury, right? So it's not like he's been cold turkey. But I don't think there's any good reason why they shouldn't have a couple of plays. In fact, they should have a couple of plays where people are thinking he's going to row and he throws deep. Why not? Right? They should queue up some plays where he comes in and he runs QB read, QB draw, zone read, right? He might run a couple little nakeds, right? Easy stuff, right? Run a high-low concept, sit route and a corner route, right? Whatever the case may be. And then we queue him up to have some deeper routes. Like, guys, we got to do that. The running back position, people have asked me about that. I'm not sold at Kanik at running back. I know a lot of people are. He's a good athlete. He doesn't look like a natural runner through traffic. I don't know about that, y'all. I mean, look, I could be wrong, but I'm just telling y'all, Kanik doesn't give me Dimitri Flower vibes. He doesn't. He doesn't. He doesn't give me Dimitri Flower vibes. He gives Dimitri Flowers. He gives me solid tight end mismatch down the seam, corner routes, running away from coverage, big boy in corners on the edges, things of that nature. But I don't know about handing the ball off to him 7-10 times. I don't think so. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Ott. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Tatum. Tatum was a guy I really liked last year. Tatum's issue is ball security. If he fumbles the ball, he's got to go bye bye. We can't afford to lose a game because he don't know how to keep the ball secure. Um, but that is a concern going into Saturday. Barry and I will talk more about that in our midweek, and then our pre pod. But I'll end it with this. Proud of our guys. Somebody said they forgot about that. Gabe Sawchuk, no, no, that kid needs another year minimum. He'll probably transfer out just in that landscape. I don't know. I don't know. His brother left. It's kind of weird that his brother left and he stayed. That's kind of odd. We'll see how it all plays out. Um, we win 2 winnable games. We go to the playoffs. We've shown as underdogs we can come with a chip on our shoulder and take care of business. It'll be interesting to see if we can show when we are expected to win, can we deliver the goods? And if Mateer shows me that he can, and it's not for me, who am I? I'm just a guy. But if Mateer shows the program he can, I think he solidifies his spot next year. If Mateer crumbles, we cannot hitch our wagon to him next year. The economics say it's stupid to do that. It says it's absolutely ignorant, redundant, stupid, dumb. All right. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. Um, I think we win the turnover margin on Saturday. It's going to be a tough game, guys. I'm just telling you guys. I said it. Go back and listen weeks ago. I said, guys, people keep saying Mizzou is the easiest game. I don't think so. Mizzou's defense travels and Mizzou can run the football. And they have a running back that can make something out of nothing. And we are undersized at backer. It's not like we have guys that are just gonna, knock your head off. Especially if McKenzie looks like he'll be back. And so we've got to go 1-0 this week. We've got to stay healthy this week. And then next Saturday's for all the apples. And if all that happens, I'm coming to Norman because we'll be hosting a playoff game in Norman, which is wild. Can you guys imagine what that's going to be like? That's going to be absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. Anyway, guys, before we go, we did 1 hour and 7 minutes. I went over 20 minutes. Before we go, guys, tomorrow I'm going to post a link. I started this book. I have 2 excerpts available that I just want people to see the caliber of reading that they're going to get, the caliber of information they're going to get. These are 2 actual excerpts from the book. I'll post it on my Twitter. I'll post it on my socials, my IG. When Barry and I do our midweek, the link will be in the bio. In fact, I'll see if I can embed it in the bio of this as well. All I want you guys to do is take a look and critique it. It's free. Okay, read those excerpts. By the way, I give away some game. I ain't gonna lie, there's some stuff in there. Like this is some good stuff. Read the excerpts. I would also really appreciate it if you guys would take the link, share them on your social medias, your Instagrams, your Twitters, whatever, what have you. Because I think it's something the Sooner Nation is really gonna enjoy. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of memories, and I think it's the goods. I really do. I think you guys are gonna read it, and it's gonna be something you guys have never read before. I'm gonna I read some of my teammates' books, and Bob did a book and all that stuff. Like this is not about like how we felt to beat Nebraska. This is not that. This is it was 3rd and 8, and coach said, "Hey DMack, can you do this damn play?" And then I tell you the backstory of where the play comes from. Hey, we're on a Thursday practice, and right, the defense lined up in this. Like it's the actual stuff that we were doing in practice or off season or preparation or film that you guys saw the game and what the aftermath was. That's how this story is written. All right. And so I think it's a lens that I haven't seen anybody else speak to. And I think it's something that's going to educate a lot of people a lot on that season. But anyway, guys, appreciate you guys for tonight. I gotta delete the other one. We had 100 people on tonight, which is wild. You guys are awesome. I freaking love you guys. Barry and I are doing midweek. If we don't do a midweek, we'll do a pre-pod. We're obviously going to do a pre and a pro. So doing the pre and pro, I'm thinking about, and I'll probably wait till next season. I'm thinking about doing some in-game. I'm going to ask Parker, say, hey, bro, how do I, during the game, have some type of live stream for people who don't want to hear the bull crap that they're talking about, and we talk about the discussion from like that. I want to figure out how to do that because my Twitter, if you've ever seen the Twitter, man, we are engaged. It's thousands of engagements happening during the games on Twitter. I want to see if I can figure out a way where we can do that. Um, in some type of stream. So if not this season, maybe by bowl season, and for sure by next season, I want to have that up and running. You guys are dope. Appreciate you guys. Go check out OU Insider, Parker and Brandon, their family. They take good care of us. I do this shit for free. If you guys know, I've been around since 2009 doing this just because I love Sooners. I love football. I love the fans. I love talking game. I love breaking down the game itself and the strategy behind it. I thank God that people actually pay me money to do this now, which is absolutely bananas. But hey, I appreciate that. And let's grow. Let's grow, man. Let's continue to do this. Let's continue to do a good job. You guys are subscribing, liking, and sharing this with other people. It's doing nothing but being a blessing to us. God bless tonight. Everybody have a great evening. Send prayers up to my family. I'm going to go bury my auntie tomorrow. Um, yeah, that one kind of sucks. Have a good night, everybody.